Ireland tonight against Slovakia, we need to make sure that our pants fit.
Yeah. That was the message. So if you put your pants on that are too big a size, they will go down to your ankles.
Did she mean pants trousers?
Yeah.
We misinterpreted that.
No, I knew she meant pants trousers.
Oh, I thought you meant jocks.
No.
Yeah.
Right.
So basically don't get too carried away, because obviously, we're still reveling in the win over Finland, which was the big game, but Slovakia come to town and they're quite hard to break down. Sweden and Finland have both beaten them, but only by the odd goal. So we're not really in a position yet to just think we're going to turn up and win this game. But it will be interesting to see. It'll probably be a fairly similar lineup, but somebody like Katie McCabe or Denise O'Sullivan are real creative players, are going to get the ball in more advanced positions, because we're going to be on the front foot. Slovakia are going to come and just try and defend and basically make sure they don't lose the game and see what they can get if they can get anything on the counter-attack. So it could be a night to be patient. And that Sweden scored quite early against Slovakia, and that was it. They got a 1-0 win. They couldn't get the second goal.
Slovakia aren't rubbish. We were kind of dismissing them here as a team who were just going to waltz in and hammer, and we're not really at that stage of our evolution yet.
No, definitely not. And I'd feel the same even about the Georgia game on Tuesday, where it's a game you'd expect to win, but it's unlikely that it's a game that Ireland are going to go and win 4 or 5-0. We're just not at that level just yet, but obviously we're on an upward curve, and it could be a very pivotal night in the group as well, because if we get the win, it's on after Sweden play Finland. That game kicks off at 5:30. Ours is at 7. Obviously, more than 6,000 tickets sold. It's going to be good atmosphere, and there's something nice building, especially at Tallaght Stadium. And the good news is Katie McCabe has been past fit to play. But yeah, we've seen this in the past. We did the hard work of beating Ukraine in the last campaign, and then when we went out there, a game that all we had to do was draw to get a playoff, we came unstuck and lost 1-0 with the most bizarre on goal, and we missed a penalty. So there is always reason to be sceptical of a sting in the tail, but I still expect Ireland to get the win and then build on it, and then hopefully beat Georgia, and the table will look a lot better come Tuesday night.
Yeah, the consistency is the most important thing to see from the team at the moment, and we have been horribly inconsistent up until the last 3 or 4 games where there's been clear signs of progress, but it's such a small sample size that we need to make sure we don't regress.
Yeah, I think what we've noticed in the last few games, obviously playing against quality opposition, the win against Australia was massive in the sense that it ended the run of defeats. So that conversation was parked. It wasn't a case of going into the Sweden game, the toughest game you can get in Europe, the top-ranked team in Europe, number 2 in the world, where people were still asking Vera Pauw about a losing streak. That was put to bed. So then it was just about what can you do against Sweden. It was all about testing ourselves against the best. And apart from one little slip, we cope quite well. You can definitely see the shape of the team is pretty good. That's an easier side of things to work on, making yourself hard to beat. It's now evolving to become a team that when you have the ball in possession and you're on the front foot, that you're cohesive in attack. So that's the next phase of development, and hopefully we'll get a glimpse of it tonight, that Ireland are going to have plenty of possession, that we're incisive and we're clinical, and just start on the front foot and play with intensity. And somebody like Heather Payne is crucial to that intensity, because she just covers every blade of grass on the pitch. I think back to that Australia game when she's still on the pitch and she's stretching her calves out because she's cramping up, and then a minute later she's sprinting for the ball. So that's what you want from your team, and so hopefully the big crowd that goes tonight is going to have something to cheer about.
Yeah, Katie McCabe has talked as well about the evolution of the fitness of the team, and it's something that Karen Duggan has talked about as well, is that previously we might have been good for an hour, but now the team is actually good for 93, 94 minutes, and players are making those lung busting runs, still attacking at the very end of the game. So we've made a quantum leap, but this is where it starts to get very high risk and high reward. We could qualify for the World Cup, a much more difficult tournament to qualify for than the Euros, which we didn't qualify for, and we're in a really good strong position to do it, but these are the games you've got to take care of business. To be honest, Phil, I wouldn't be terribly surprised if we win this 1-0 and it's a header from a corner. It doesn't feel yet like we have fully reached our expression of what the creative side of the game is.
Yeah, no, I think, set pieces have always been key, and I mentioned the Australia game. I was actually sitting right behind the corner flag where Katie McCabe whipped in the corner for Louise Quinn's winning header, and it was such a good ball. It was begging for someone to get their head on it, and Louise Quinn, we know how good she is in the air. So if that's how it, like, if people sometimes criticise teams for just being able to score from set pieces, but how do you get set pieces? You create attacks, and usually it's from a keeper being forced to save or a defender under pressure having to put the ball out. So I would never want us to get away from being an aerial threat from set pieces, but the likes of Katie McCabe, if she's in more advanced positions, some people think that playing as a left wing back, it's not ideal because you want her further up the pitch. But if we are playing more on the front foot tonight, Katie McCabe's going to be in better positions, and if she gets a sniff at goal, if she's around the edge of the box, she's going to pull the trigger. So hopefully we can see something there, and yeah, eventually we will get more incisive in attack. But also as well, obviously there's the experience, but there's pressure. It's having to deal with pressure, and we didn't deal with the pressure in Ukraine, where it was a game that you go into it knowing that if you avoid defeat, you're guaranteed a playoff, and we didn't get the job done. And subsequently, Northern Ireland held their nerve to beat Ukraine in a playoff and qualify for the Euros. If we do get a playoff, these World Cup playoffs, by the way, they're the most convoluted thing that you could...
A three-way mini-league, is it?
There's mini-leagues. Well, no, there's... I feel like we're going down the Nations League route here. I'm very conscious of it. But basically, yeah, if you finish as one of the runners-up, if you're one of the best ones, you go through to round 2 of the playoffs, and then the other 6 go into round 1 of the playoffs. This is all within Europe. But even if you win your European final playoff, so 3 of those teams, only the top 2 ranked through their qualifying go in. Then the third one goes into this inter-confederation playoff, which is a tournament in Australia and New Zealand.
Oh, right. Like a repechage.
Yeah, I think it's safe to just say, we could qualify for the playoffs, and look, if we do that, which would be great, we'll worry about how to get there after. But
the thing to do is we actually need to win all our games from here on out and maybe draw in Sweden, and that should make us one of the top qualified teams into the playoff. And that gives us the
absolutely.
best chance.
And I said at the time as well, with the defeat to Sweden, the fact that it was only 1-0, that would stand to us in terms of goal difference as well. So if we could beat Finland here as well, obviously that would be a huge result. I suppose we're not really in that. We don't have that luxury where we can talk about beating teams like Finland with ease. Even if we drew with them, the fact that we beat them there last month means we'd still finish ahead of them, provided we do a double over Slovakia and Georgia. So look, it's exciting times, and even on the way into work this morning, you're seeing the billboards all around, and yeah, like crowd of over 6,000. Eventually where this is going is we get a women's international at the Aviva Stadium.
Yeah, and the full house and the amazing atmosphere in Tallaght is actually really important. We did see that in the Luxembourg game. The small, properly populated, with a very dedicated crowd is a brilliant thing, and it could be a real fortress for us, and maybe they play glamour friendlies in the Aviva or something, I don't know, but certainly that's worth considering, as opposed to just immediately going to the Aviva when it's like a crowd of 15,000 or 12,000. It might look like it's not very many people there, when actually it's a brilliant achievement. So there's definitely a balancing act to be read there. Give us your prediction, Phil.
I think I'm going to go 2-0 Ireland.
All right, we would definitely take that. Phil, good stuff. Thanks a million for that.